13th of June and 16th of July in Ekiti and Osun states.
On behalf of the chairman of INEC,
results declared 1-1 draw for APC and PDP.
Imole was announced, which I say, Imole.
Victors and victims retired home. Time for the observers' observations. International and local observers are credited to give a credible report to guide INEC for credible poll in 2023. From Aminu Idris to the observers, let's be fair in our submissions.
I urge those who have not yet submitted their reports to us to give it a priority and give us the reports from not just areas where there are challenges. We're also looking at areas where the Commission is doing well.
As observers, you represent the generality of the Nigerian citizens. So the Commission is glad to engage with you.
All guided with that. Here is an exclusive brief of the observers' notes.
For your recommendations, you ask that the Commission should improve on its logistics preparation towards early activation of racks, that political party agents interfered with the polling process by insisting on standing by voting cubicles to know the choice of voters, that the Commission should have more trainings for ad hoc staff on handling beavers in subsequent elections.
From INEC to the observers, we are greatly grateful. This will make an impact in the 2023 polls. Be rest assured.
Still on the management of elections, with security standing as one of the major enablers of citizen participation in elections, the Center for Democracy and Development (CDD), in collaboration with INEC, has engaged experts to make input in addressing security gaps towards conducting the 2023 general elections in areas that have witnessed security breaches in recent time.
The clock is ticking faster for the 2023 general elections. February next year, polls will be opening for voting, but serious concern over security situations in some parts of the country lingers.
Communities in some of the most conflict-affected rural areas of Zamfara, Niger, Katsina, Kaduna, and Sokoto lamented not having access to polling stations. Yet, security personnel, INEC, and others face huge challenges in meeting this demand.
An enabling environment for high citizen participation is key to election credibility, and this informed this assembly of experts, heads of security and INEC officials to share experiences, identify volatile areas, and proffer solutions for addressing insecurity before time.
Specific recommendations will be made to further enrich our understanding of the security issues in the forthcoming election, the various dimensions of the challenges, and most importantly, possible measures to respond to them.
We have to start talking about how to de-escalate the tension, how to secure the environment such that the Independent National Electoral Commission will be able to assess all areas of the country.
For experts here, understanding peculiarities of security challenges in affected areas should be the starting point.
Now, many have said that the 2023 general elections will determine the course of state on the national and sub-national levels. The political parties have presented the electorate with the choices to make. In all this, ensuring a hitch-free process is key. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the Nigeria Police are the lead agency for the election. On security, of course, have a big role to play in this guide. And the Electoral Act 2022 provides the rules of the game. Now, political and public affairs analyst Jide Ojo joins us today on Political Update. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Good afternoon, Nigerians. Happy weekend.
And you know that this month, the gates will be open for campaigns. But let's start from the beginning of the year. You saw what happened at the primaries of various parties and platforms. And what happened, the push and pull and all that. Are we likely to see a rank of free exercise moving on to 2020?
Thank you very much for the opportunity, but you know the answer yourself, unless we want to pretend. politicians.
I'm asking.
Yeah, I know you're asking me, but if the early warning sign is anything to go by, we are not likely going to see rancor-free campaigns. We can only appeal to political gladiators to make it so, because already there are complaints across some states of, the incumbents trying to run oppositions out of town. There have been complaints from Gombe, from Abia, from Lagos about, issues around not allowing
some form of intimidation.
Some form of intimidations of oppositions in those states. Just a few days ago, the campaign office of the PDP candidate in Gombe was pulled down, and despite court injunctions and all of that, we've seen young progressive parties saying that they are not allowed to hold meetings, political meetings in Abia State, in some part of Abia State, let me put it that way. Where traditional institutions were even being used to intimidate and say you cannot hold meetings here because the state government frowns at it. And of course, this is not new. If you go back in history to First Republic, the incidents that led to the Wild West and the Western Regional Crisis of 1964-65 elections. If you read, Amadou Kofi's book on what happened then, as well as Wole Soyinka's book, Ibada de Penkeleme CS, you have a very holistic understanding of political intimidations by different political gladiators against oppositions within their spheres of influence. And it's so shocking that in 2022, 23 years after this Fourth Republic, we've seen early warnings of that, where oppositions are being intimidated. We are starting to see structural violence, psychological violence, even though we are seeing less of physical violence. But as the September 28th, 2022 draws close, we will start to see manifestations of all of this. But not because, again, politics in this part of the world is a zero-sum game. The end justifies the means. Winner takes all. So you need to outwit your opponent whichever way, and that is what usually creates tension, political tension, in the build-up to every election, as we have seen in Nigeria. And it's not only in Nigeria, even in Kenya, in Angola, where elections have been held previously this year, we saw a lot of that taking place ahead of their various general elections. And it's not only, it's not peculiar to Africa. It's not Brazil is in the throes of preparing for its election. You could see between Bolsonaro and Lula supporters and all of that. You see all of this playing out. So it's a global phenomenon, just that the manifestation comes in different shapes and sizes.
All right, we're talking about campaigns opening, of course, the gates opening for campaigns on the 20th of this month. Now, when we talk about campaigns themselves in terms of concept, are we likely to see issue-based campaigns as against bags of money or some form of gratification, what some politicians will call dividends of democracy as well, once this begins?
Again, this is speculative, but I will say we will see various manifestations of what we used to see in previous campaigns. There will be intimidation, there will also be issue-based. I recall that as the political parties and their candidates start marketing themselves, the media and civil society will also be holding political debates for candidates at different levels, at the presidential and at the subnational level. So we are going to be seeing issue-based campaigns, civilized campaigns, but we also see loyalists who will be at each other's throat, who will throw mud at one another, and that's where NBC, we need to step in, as well as the Nigerian police. NBC, in terms of fake news and hate speech, as well as, other forms of intimidation, particularly on live political rallies. You see a lot of that in the past, where even National Broadcasting Commission have had to penalize some news media for not adhering strictly to NBC code. And that again, they will have to be mindful of that, because now many media stations are fixated on making money. And you saw, even it was in 2015, a documentary on one of the chieftains of a party that was done by an opposition, that was aired on some media platforms, that led to litigations because of the demonization of that person as at that time. And so we see people doing documentaries that are not in tune with civilized politicking. We also see a lot of hate speeches, a lot of fake news, a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation. But when you take it outside of that, there will also be attempts by loyalists to, disrupt campaigns and all of that. But in all of this, I would not want us to be fixated on the negatives, because, like I pointed out, there will still be rallies where...
Let me jump in briefly and ask you, in your interactions, do you think the electorate are really waiting to hear what the candidates would want to say, or they are already stoic positions that feel unshakable?
No, well, the electorate are divided. It's not an homogeneous entity. When you say the electorate consists of the people with different political affiliations. And incidentally, this...
I'm saying even in terms of the different blocks.
Yes.
Could we see some shifting of ground as a result of the conversations to be had from the 28th of this month till election time, or are those positions already rigid? Have they made their choices and all that?
No. See, that's what I was hinting at. It's going to be, even in US and other established democracy, they will say some undecided voters. Some voters traditionally either are conservatives or they are progressives, as they want to call themselves. Then there will be undecided voters. And it is to these undecided voters you usually hold political debates, because what has this person to say? Does he have solution to our myriads of challenges? Can he do the job? Beyond the hypes, is this somebody that we can dig into his background and say, yes, this is the man that is most suitable for the job? So there will be different divides, there will be different blocks, but most importantly, I think it's the citizens that should force this issue-based debate, issue-based campaigns, because one, when they hold rallies, they invite all and sundry. But rallies is not where you go and start saying, hey, excuse me, I have a question. They design it the way it suits them. The musicians will have a very field day now, because many of them will engage musicians, they will engage the comedians, they will engage marketmen and women who will come and do the dancing and all of that. And of course, party chieftains will attend. The NURTW, National Union of Road Transport Workers, who will be busing people to those places, are also going to be making a huge gains. But most importantly, beyond the rallies, because where can we engage them? We can engage them on the basis of their websites. If it's interactive, you can raise a query. I see on your website your campaign blueprint or roadmap. This is what it says. Can you expatiate? We can have an interface on social media about what they are peddling, and of course you rely more on their media handlers to respond to those queries. But I think political debate also provide another opportunity, because some of the debates have segment for people to ask questions, and that's where the candidates will be best tested about their knowledge of the issues around security, economy, health, education, and the rest
I'll
of it.
come back during the final comments, but let me just take a couple of stories now. President Muhammadu Buhari has assured Nigerians that the governing All Progressive Congress will continue to bequeath strong political institutions that reflect their choices through non-interference in elections. The president made his comments while receiving members of the Progressive Governors Forum.
Members of the Progressive Governors Forum were in the State House to formally thank the president for his leadership, guided by wisdom and foresight, as well as compare notes on the state of the nation and the forthcoming elections. President Muhammadu Buhari dwelled extensively on his disposition and belief in non-interference in elections, saying it gives credence to the political process, ensures participation and inclusiveness, as well as shows the governing party's respect for the electorate. The president said APC, under his leadership, will continue to respect Nigerians by ensuring that their votes count and the people's voice matter in choosing political leaders at different levels. He said the government will also ensure that Nigerians don't get intimidated or humiliated by those in positions or the more privileged. As he puts it, we will not allow anyone to use personal resources or their influence to intimidate other Nigerians. We will not allow intimidations materially, morally, or physically. This is the kind of leadership that can emerge and consolidate our nation. He went further to say that in 6 months, Nigerians will surely appreciate the sincerity of the APC government, but urged political leaders to intensify efforts in thinking, meeting, and strategizing for the 2023 elections. Chairman, Progressive Governors Forum and Governor of Kebbi State, Atiku Bagudu, had congratulated the Nigerian leader on the positive trajectory of the economy with a 3.5% growth in the second quarter, up from 3.1% in the first quarter of this year. He said despite the challenges, infrastructure projects are ongoing in parts of the country and the social intervention programs are expanding. The governor said the growth trajectory had defied initial predictions of some multilateral institutions, affirming that the World Bank and others had acknowledged the resilience of the nation's economy and reviewed their positions. The Progressive Governors Forum also noted efforts at improving security and measures to curb oil theft in the Niger Delta. The chairman told the president that some APC governors contesting elections for second term in 2023 have impressive records in their first term. Discussions held behind closed doors also touched on the prolonged strike by ASU.
And lastly, in the course of the week, the People's Democratic Party says it remains united and is moving towards returning to its winning ways. This is amidst calls for the removal of the party's national chairman, Senator Iyorchia Ayu.
It's been a pocket of differences within the PDP family since the emergence of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as the party's presidential candidate for the 2023 election. Areas of disagreement include the presidential candidate, party's national chairman and the POT chairman, all from the northern region of the country. Members from the southern region consider it an imbalance and do not represent the principle of equity and fairness.
This party relies on its constituent and work on it. And I can say to you, because this party has an organ and a process that allows you to do a process of reconciliation or reworking itself, it does that.
On the face of between Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State, PDP National Chairman Iyorchia Ayu, and other party leaders, Ologunagba insisted that there is no crisis in the party.
We know we're working together. Every member, all our governors, all the leaders of the party are agreed on one mission. And I think that should be the big picture. And that mission is connected to Nigerian existence.
All organs of the party are working very well, and the party will carry everyone along in all of its activities, with party's National Campaign Council coming on soon, the PDP spokesman assured.
And Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has since responded to comments made by the national chairman, which appear to refer to some dissenting voices in the party as children. So watch this space. Anyway, let's continue before we round up. We should come to you, for some of the final comments on the program. Of course, as we said, elections, campaigning will start. Some of the worrisome things that we saw earlier at the primary level was even some aspirants accused others of spreading the love, talking about some things that happened behind the scenes and all that. How can we bring the Electoral Act to bear on this and the provisions within it to guide these processes because of the the toll on the economy and of course what people are saying in terms of the spend by politicians, especially those in law?
Fisher, the electoral is very clear. First and foremost, there is a campaign finance ceiling for all the candidates. A presidential candidate is not supposed to spend more than 5 billion from from 1 billion in previous electoral act, and then a governorship candidate should not spend more than 1 billion, which is upward from the initial 200 million under the 2010 electoral act. And of course, senators not more than 100 million. But these have been observed in breach. But let's come to the issue of voter inducement and vote buying and all of that. The Electoral Act also made provision prohibiting this as an electoral offense. It prohibits it and makes it an electoral offense. Let me put it that way. Section 121 and Section 127 of the Electoral Act, the gazetted copy, you'll find out that it says that nobody should induce voter, and it's not just cash. It's even about in-kind donation, in-kind inducement, maybe food, maybe souvenirs, maybe even promising jobs, contract, and all of that. It's all, in fact, it's a whole volume. Those section 121 and section 127, read together, it gives you a wide field of what is prohibited during the electioneering period. Then it also criminalized not only the giver, but the taker. So if you receive this inducement, you are as guilty as the person that gives it to you. But the challenge now is about who is to enforce these provisions. The law is very clear that the police, Nigerian police, as the lead agency in this in the fight against corruption, are supposed to lead. But INEC has also partnered anti-corruption agencies like ICPC, EFCC, and the rest of them. But unfortunately, we've not had sufficient awareness around this, and there have not been many arrests. And my suggestion, I was at a Yaga public presentation of the Osun and Ekiti report last Friday, and I did ask the DIG Kokumo at that event held at Transcorp that, look, why don't your men use the tactics of the sting operation, covert. So rather than going in their uniform,
plain clothes.
Do it as a plain clothes. You'll be able to witness, and maybe with body cameras on and all of that, you could be able to make mass arrest, and this may actually dissuade people who wants to be engaging in voter inducement ahead of the elections.
Thank you so much. We've had our brother Jide Ojo here talking about the election process and, of course, campaigns as they have, of course, will start later in the month. Now, guys, a lot of people are saying that, Africans are saying that, of course, it's an African tradition to receive something from your brother. But people are watching, even if your brother is around the political time, to know whether it's a politician or not. My name is Fisao Gunfe. Thanking you for being a part of this. Of course, political update is from the platform of the Nigerian Television Authority. You can be able to reach for news, reviews, previews, and interviews. And it is the political season. All systems go later in the month. So play your politics for the greater good. Bye-bye now.